Crash Bandicoot 2 is amongst the best looking games on the PlayStation 1. Designed as playable cartoons, the Crash series combined high-res graphics, vibrant environments, and eye-catching characters. But they always restrict you to an on-rails camera. What happens if you take Crash 2's camera off the rails? In this video, I'll show you unused areas, Easter eggs, and the hidden details you were never meant to see. I'll show you how Naughty Dog broke the rules for how 3D games were supposed to work, pushing the boundaries of the PlayStation. The first thing to explain is that almost nothing exists off-camera. As you move, only a small sliver of the world is ever materialised, vanishing the second it slips out of view. This is all down to the ingenious way Crash's graphics work. Allow me to explain. A complex 3D scene is made of thousands of triangles and textures. Drawing every single one on every single frame would be slow, and most of the work would be wasted. You need instead to cull the geometry, so you only draw what's needed. To make Crash Bandicoot look better than the competition, Naughty Dog connected a huge cluster of powerful SGI workstations together to simulate a fly-through of each level. The cluster recorded every polygon visible at every point on the path, so the data could be compressed and stored on the game CD. Each fly-through took several hours, but once calculated, these snapshots could be quickly read off the disk as simple chunks of geometry. Moving Crash forwards in the level loads the next visible set from the CD-ROM, piping it quickly to the GPU. This is how Crash 2 runs so fast. It only draws the bare minimum. The drawback is Crash levels must only go in one direction, which is why the game sometimes feels like 2D. Another consequence is that the levels contain very little unused material, as it was mostly optimised away. However, there is one large unused level area that survived into the final game. Crash 2 starts with an intro level that teaches you some basic gameplay before a teleporter whisks you away. Behind the teleport lies an area you can see but never reach. What happens if you go there? By editing the level data, we can cross through to discover an entire unused area. It's almost fully modelled, complete with walk mesh, but it ends abruptly at an invisible wall. Beyond here, the path snakes round and upwards before cutting away. Was this once supposed to be a larger tutorial level? If Crash was never meant to go here, most of the scenery would have been optimised away. It's not a huge area. After the invisible wall, there's no collision, so even if you got there, you'd fall straight through the floor. But it's tantalising to think about what Naughty Dog originally had in mind. Crash 2 is somewhat like an illusion. Anything you can't see probably doesn't exist, and even the things you can see aren't always what they seem. Take water. In my Crash 1 video a while back, I showed how the water effect was just underwater objects that wobbled, a fast and easy trick that spurs CPU cycles. Crash 2 uses a lot of reflections, and the trick here is quite simple. Whenever you approach a reflective surface, the game spawns a copy of Crash. It follows you around for a while, mirroring all your animations, and it despawns once the icy surface is out of view. Rendering 2 copies of Crash takes a lot of polygons, so the game avoids doing anything too complicated in these areas. You can tell it's not a real reflection as there's no fruit or aku-aku masks. Despite the limitations, it's a very cool effect that makes the levels feel much larger than they really are. Another thing I appreciated when taking the camera off rails was seeing the game's levels and locations from a new perspective. Crash 1 and 2 are both set on the Wumper Islands, the same locations at different seasons. Crash 2 reuses a lot more architecture than I realised. A fun thing is that the warp rooms really are stacked on top of each other. At the very top is a secret warp, containing the secret level areas. I never realised this was supposed to be Castle Cortex from Crash 1, as it overlooks the other islands. Crash 3's warp room was intended to be the same location, and originally would have had the Wumper Islands in the background too, but that sadly had to be cut due to memory limits. Speaking of the islands, the fixed camera makes it quite hard to see any details here. The first thing is, they're covered in snow. This is supposed to explain why there are so many ice levels, but it's a detail most players will never even see. The islands are otherwise exact copies of the ones in Crash 1, right down to tiny details. It's an attempt at world building that mostly goes unnoticed. The same applies to Cortex Island in the intro cutscene. By moving the camera, you can see much the same details as Crash 1. The ruins, the toxic spills, even the R hanging off the Cortex power sign. The intro cutscene is a place, like anything else in the game. It's located in the same level as the game intro, but there's no way to get there directly. The cave that Cortex lands in is far bigger than I imagined, and there's a whole bunch of detail in the space station. There's a huge cast of enemies in Crash 2, and you don't often get a good look at them. Most of the creatures are meant to have some kind of cybernetic enhancement, presumably Embryo's weird experiments. Each one is uniquely animated with charm and personality. Speaking of enemies, there are a couple of Easter eggs in the Ripperoo fight that are difficult to see normally. Let's take a look at what Ripperoo is reading when he introduces himself. A joke novel called War and Pieces, a book on fame called How to Blow Up, and what's this? It's the Crash Bandicoot Strategy Guide! He's probably still mad about the gem requirements for Crash 1. Honestly, I don't blame him. The other bosses are simpler. I took a peek, but they don't have much to hide. Finally, another nice touch is how Coco's laptop sports 2 Naughty Dog logos. Crash 2 is a game that pushed the PS1 to its limits. After the success of Crash 1, Naughty Dog wanted to bring their full vision to life, and Crash 2 used every trick imaginable. And it wasn't just good looking, it was fun. Fast-paced, charming, and massively replayable. To me, Crash 2 was the PlayStation at its finest. If you'd like to learn more about the PlayStation era, when games transition from simple toys to serious media, consider subscribing to my channel. I've got a lot of things planned, including showing how I wrote my own PlayStation game. And let me know, what did you think of Crash 2 when it came out? And do you think it still holds up today?